In today's video, we will be discussing Roronoa Zoro and trying to accurately power scale him with his feats in Wano. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about how strong he is currently and also how strong I think he'll grow after Wano is concluded. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys check the pinned comment and description and follow me on Twitch. Don't miss any of the streams that I have daily because we have awesome manga and anime discussions. Also, make sure that you hit that Discord link in the pinned comment, join the Discord as well, so you can be a part of the fan videos that I do every now and then. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So there are a few reasons why I'm making this video, and I'm sure you're asking, why do I feel the need to power scale Zoro? Well, Zoro is one of those characters that can be hit or miss when it comes to power scaling. A lot of times I hear different sides of people's opinions when it comes to him. Some people think that he isn't ready for foes like Katakuri or King, and some people think that he is actually surpassed them already. Today, I'm going to look at the rooftop feats, try to correlate what Zoro did to some other characters, and really come to a concrete conclusion on how powerful I think he is. So to do that, I want to start with the Scabbards. The Scabbards are people that we feel like sometimes were a little underutilized in areas, but some of them were really awesome. You have really cool Scabbards that were utilized in other arcs as well, like Kinemon and Kanjuro until we found out he was a traitor, the Dukes, Neko and Inuyarashi. So we have a lot of characterization for them. And then you have some that we met very early on in Wano, like Ashura Doji or Kiroshiro, who ends up being actually Denjiro. But my point being is that the Scabbards are very powerful Wano samurai. In the land of Wano, they were pretty infamous in the past for being the retainers of Oden, but some of them have gotten sent 20 years into the future, and some actually got to stay around and just to live their life this 20 years. Because of that, some of them we feel have grown. Those like Ashura Doji and Denjiro actually got to stay around for the entire 20 years instead of getting sent in the future. Because of that, some people seem to think that they had time to grow some, whereas the other Scabbards just instantly got sent ahead. Now, the reason why this is important is because to me, that means that these Scabbards aren't all the same level. Some of them have had time to really fester and grow. Speaking of time to grow, we talked about Ashura Doji and we talked about Denjiro, but also the Dukes. The Dukes were around for 20 years and they were on Zou, and they have had time to mature and to grow as well. So let's take that thought of some of them growing and them already being powerful in the past, and let's correlate that to what they did on the roof. So when they got to the roof, you know what the first thing they did was? They liked the video. Guys, if you're already here and you're listening, make sure you like the video. I forgot to mention in the beginning, but I'd really appreciate that. And also, if you want more One Piece content like this, make sure you subscribe and you turn on those post notifications. So I guess the point being is that when they got to the roof, they combated Kaido. They had the will of Oden and they were trying to avenge him and avenge the land of Wano and, of course, inevitably save Wano. With this fire to fuel them, they tried their hardest, and although they did cut him at times, Kaido specifically states that their attacks are too shallow, that even with their current strength, they couldn't even reopen his old wound that Oden left. Now, why is this relevant to Zoro? Well, I'll get to that very soon, but I want you guys to pay attention to everything that they've done, because they did try their hardest, and although they did do some very minuscule damage, and even block the Boro Breath a few times, they just weren't strong enough, and this is words from Kaido. To be more specific, it's chapter 993, page 14. This is after they use the Oden two-sword style in chapter 992, and Kaido says, "In your spirit, I saw the visage of Kozuki Oden. With each throb of my scar, I remember, but you people are not Oden. We will never see a monster samurai of his like again. It is too shallow. You don't even have enough power to open up the old scar. You cannot do it." And in the next chapter, after he uses the wind scar attack, he says, "But death is what completes a person. Isn't that true? So let's end this now." And then he completely bodies the Scabbards at this point. So as you can see from these two chapters and these different panels, Kaido is telling you all that even though he saw the visage of Oden in them with each cut and each throb of his scar, they were not strong enough, that they could not do it, they could not be Oden, and that we never see another monster samurai like that again. So from Kaido's words, we specifically know that he believes that Oden was a monster for being able to scar him, and that he believes also that there'll never be another monster samurai like him. Keep that in mind because it's important to correlate that to Zoro. Because let's fast forward to Zoro's feats on the roof. In chapter 1009, this is very important. Zoro blocks a brunt of a sovereignty attack, which is a combo attack by Big Mom and Kaido. Now, what's important to note here is that Law did teleport him away after he took most of the attack, but he did take the attack for a split second, saving everyone on the roof. If Zoro did not block that attack, I do believe that the supernova would have died on that roof, which is very important for his character. So you have a very, very good feat there. Now, a lot of people like to downplay this and say, well, since he, fell when he broke all these bones because he took this attack, it's not really a W for him. And I highly disagree. It doesn't matter that his bones broke. The fact in the matter is that he blocked an attack that was a combo attack by both the likes of Kaido and Big Mom. And although he got teleported out of the way, he saved himself and the rest of the supernova on the roof by doing this. And then he broke 20 bones. Now, him breaking these bones is important because let's go to chapter 1010, which is the next chapter. Before we get to the Ashura feat, I want to talk about Oden and the flashback. This is also important to correlate to Zoro. Oden was fighting a Kaido who was weaker. And I know some of you were saying, well, how do you know that he was weaker, Sensei? You can't just say that. That's headcanon. But there's a specific panel during the boiling pot moment in which Kaido and Oden are speaking to one another. And Kaido says, "I'm sorry about what happened with the old hag. I had her killed." And Oden responds, "How upright of you. Build your strength while you can." And at this point, Oden then tells him, "For I will always be there with every drink you take." He's pretty much giving his last dying words to Kaido and haunting him, cursing him. What's important in this panel is that he says, "Build your strength while you can." This was 20 years ago. With this panel, you can imply that Kaido has grown. Another thing that's important to note is, yes, Kaido did not use his hybrid, but I don't want to use that too much because that was very, very plot heavy, specifically because Oda could not show us his hybrid yet. He wasn't ready to show it to us. Therefore, you couldn't have Kaido use it. So I don't want to use that too much against Oden in this situation. However, just looking at Kaido's stature, how he was built, he was definitely weaker then. So someone that was as strong as Oden, and I will not downplay Oden's strength, he did scar Kaido, but it was a weaker Kaido. So that's one thing that's important to note. The second thing, and let's go back to 1009, he broke 20 bones. So Zoro was in worse shape when he did the exact same feat that Oden did. Not only does this prove to me that Zoro is very powerful, it proves to me that Zoro may have been stronger than that Oden. He did the same feats in worse condition against a stronger Kaido. He also did the same thing that just 17 chapters prior, Kaido said the scabbards couldn't do. All 9 of them couldn't do this, and Zoro did. This is the same thing that they couldn't do that Kaido said that Oden could do, and that they weren't Oden, and we'd never see another monster samurai like him. Well, 17 chapters later, it seems that we did see another monster samurai that was just like Oden, as he did the exact same thing to once again a stronger Kaido in a worse condition than Oden. I think something that's very important to talk about briefly is Zoro's performance in the post time skip, because that is the exact thing that most people use against him. Well, Zoro didn't fight anyone. He didn't fight anyone of comparable strength. He did not fight anyone that was strong like Luffy did. And because of that, he couldn't have grown that much. Well, there's a problem with that argument, because yes, indeed, some of the people that Zoro fought were weak, like Hody Jones, like Monet. Hody Jones was completely a plot device to show off the strength of the Straw Hats. Everyone in Fishman Island was. Monet was him trying to save Tashigi, so he never really was trying to even kill or hurt her. He attacked her without haki. So in those two instances, I don't really want to count that against him. However, let's talk about the Pika fight. Pika is someone that is relative to Virgo. Virgo was somebody that was fighting very evenly, and some people even debate this all the time, was stronger than Smoker. If you think Smoker was stronger or weaker, that's up to you guys and your perception of the fight. However, they were relative to each other. Law did beat him pretty easily, but Law is a supernova. Law is someone that has been shown to be a rival to Luffy, whether you want to see it or not. Law's pretty strong. So him beating Virgo does not mean Virgo is weak, it just means that Law is stronger. So why, when Law beats Virgo, can people give him the respect and say Law is just powerful? But when Zoro beats Pika, it's, oh, Pika's weak. As you can see, sometimes the agenda gets flipped around here, because when Law defeated someone that is relative to Pika, people gave him that respect. and in that regard called him strong. But because people don't want to give Zoro the right respect in his strength, they just say, oh, well, Pika was weak. But we know because of the way that they're ranked within the Joker and the Don Quixote family, they are relative. So to me, it's not that Zoro didn't fight anyone strong, because Pika was strong. It's just Zoro was that much more powerful. The same way Law defeated Virgo pretty easily because Law was that much more powerful. Now that I've covered up that little small portion, because I know people like to use that against Zoro, let's go back to the feats at hand. So as I said earlier, Zoro did the same feat that Oden did, but against a stronger Kaido and a weaker condition. Because of this, I do believe that Zoro is currently, and you might think I'm wild, but I think he's stronger than that Oden in the flashback, which means to me Zoro is in the YC1 plus area. He's in the very gray area above YC1 but before Admirals. Now this doesn't mean when I say he's stronger than that Oden that he's clapping that Oden. I think him and that Oden go to a high to extreme diff altercation. If they were to fight 100 times, Zoro would win maybe 51 times and Oden would win 49. They're that close to me. However, I do give the edge to Zoro just because of the feat. I have to give it to him. Now that we've established based on feats where I think Zoro's strength is, where would he be after Wano? Well, it depends on what he does. If he fights and defeats King pretty handedly, then I can't say that he'll grow that much, because we know from Rayleigh that people grow in their Haki bloom in very tough situations. So if he beats King pretty convincingly, he probably won't grow that much more, which would actually make sense to me because I already think he's in that YC plus area. However, if he has an extreme diff altercation with King and he really gets pushed to his limits and he has to break them again, I would say that he would grow and be that much more close to an Admiral level after Wano. Now, this does not mean that I think he's beating Admirals after Wano. However, it does mean that I think he'd be able to go mid to high diff with most of them. Some of them, of course, I can't say that, like Akainu I think is more powerful. I think Aokiji's more powerful. Even Kizaru could be more powerful. However, I do think that they're all relative. They're admirals for a reason, which is a whole nother topic and a whole nother area of disrespect that some of the admirals get, but that's for another video. My point in saying all of this though is that I think we need to start being more accurate when it comes to Zoro, and we just need to give him that respect. A lot of people think that he isn't ready to fight people like Katakuri, like King, etc. And just due to the feats that we've seen on the rooftop, I can't say that that's true. I'm hoping that once you guys watch this, you can agree with some of the things I've said. I also want to give a very, very big shout out to Roy Newgate. Make sure that you guys should go check his channel out. He has awesome content over there. He helped me put some of these thoughts together, especially when it came to the scabbards. I wasn't really thinking of that dynamic, but I'm glad that he brought that up to me. He has a lot of knowledge on One Piece and of course Zoro, so make sure you guys go check him out. His channel will be in the description. But of course guys, these are just my thoughts on Zoro and his power scaling, but I want to know all of yours, so make sure you comment down below and let me know what you think of Zoro. How strong do you think he is? How accurate do you think I power scaled him? Also, once again, make sure you hit that description and those pinned comments and follow me on Twitch and turn on Twitch notifications, and also join the Discord. As always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Sensei Ink, and I will see you all in the next video.